I have a sow's head in our hand. Thank you very much.
Hey, this is John McKeown. Where are you from, John?
I'm from Yalbilly.
What's that?
About a half a mile from Galway Chapel.
About a half a mile from Galway Chapel?
Yes, in the town lawn of Corley.
Right.
C-O-R-L-E-Y, Corley.
Corley. And you have always lived there, John?
Always lived there.
Are you in the home house?
No, I'm in a house of my uncle's. But it's still on Corley Lane, my own home place. And where I'm living. They're both on the one lane, Corley Lane. Right. One of them at one end of the lane and where I am is at the other end.
Right.
But it's all in Corley.
Well, was your uncle married at all?
My uncle wasn't married.
And you then got his place?
I got into his place, yeah. It originally belonged to my father, but my uncle lived in CC.
Right. Well, how many of a family was in your house?
There's 6. There's 3 boys and 3 girls.
Now, you played the fiddle and the accordion, and you had a brother, was it Jimmy and Mickey, no?
Jimmy and Packy.
Jimmy and Packy?
Yes.
What did Jimmy play?
Jimmy plays the accordion, he still plays her. And Packy, the older brother, he played the banjo mandolin.
Right.
He quit playing, he wasn't really that interested much in it, but a good player, like, always played in the cavalry band.
Yeah. And your early music career started with a very famous man up around your country, Master McDermott.
That's correct, Master McDermott.
Tell us a bit about Master McDermott.
Well, Master McDermott taught me at school. He was
was that in Crossgarden School?
That was in Clonmel School.
Oh, Clonmel.
On the top of the hill, maybe, you know it.
I don't actually, but I suppose it's not there anymore.
Oh, it is, sure.
It's still there, is it?
It's converted into a dwelling house.
Ah, that's the main, but it's not a school anymore.
Oh, no, it's not. Well, that's what Master McDermott taught, and where he lived was in beside Yard Chapel. That's not far from
near the crossroads.
Near the crossroads. There's a fella lives in Master McDermott's place now. They bought it after McDermott, Master McDermott, Paddy McKeown. He was a blacksmith. Paddy died there a few years ago. Well, the son living there has the place now. Just beside Yard Chapel. That was where Master McDermott.
Does the son work at engineer?
His son works at engineer.
Right, I've heard of them already.
Aye, I would say so.
Well, Master McDermott, he was married, wasn't he?
Master McDermott was married till I think it was Devlin, maybe they called her. Aye, but there was no family in it.
Right. And Master McDermott was, for them that would know a bit about him, I actually don't know an awful pile about him. He was a great fiddle player.
Master McDermott was the best fiddle player of his time around that part of the country. He was. I heard him often and sat in his house listening to him, and he was a great player. And there was a lot of good players, you know, about it in them years too.
Yes.
Achna Yar. There was a fella lived a field for McDermott, and Paddy O'Brien they called him, and he was a great player.
Of a fiddle?
Of a fiddle, oh, it was all fiddlers around that time. There was very few accordion players around. Right. Fiddle was an instrument. Paddy O'Brien was a great fiddler. There was another man lived about maybe a couple of miles from Master McDermott. Jimmy Donaghy they called him. And he was a fairly good fiddler. And then down at Chalisha there was a man, I think it was Daly they called him. I didn't know him now so well. And they tell me he was a great player. And up on Alfred Lushan, Paddy Nugent, I knew him well. Big Paddy as they called him. He was a big man, maybe 6'2". And he was a lovely fiddler.
Was he them Nugents beside Achnagar?
That's right. No, oh no.
Different?
No, they were a different variety of Nugents.
Right.
The Nugents at Achnagar, like, they were cousins of my own.
Right.
Paddy the fiddler was no relation.
No relation?
Not to my knowledge, only namesakes, yes.
Well, so when you knew Master McDermott first, when you went to Clonmel School, how many teachers was in that time?
There was just 2 in it.
Who was teaching along with him?
Well, when I went first, there was a teacher, I think, as far as I can remember, she was a Miss Burns. She come from where, County Down or something, a big tall girl in the young. And she taught there a while, and then they come, I don't know how many years she would have been in it. She wasn't so very many. But anyhow, she left anyway. I don't know what happened. She maybe gave up teaching. I think somebody said no little come. Well, then there come another teacher from Roy, Miss Devlin, and she taught a good number of years in it. And then finally, she left too. There's maybe they changed teachers in them years, did they?
I couldn't.
Because they
wouldn't know.
seemed to be like the priests there. We keep them away and then.
Yeah.
And whether
Maybe come young years and then maybe married and that.
maybe that was the
And
case.
moved.
No, well, I know Miss Devlin, the last one I'm talking about, that was in it. She become a nun.
Is that right?
Oh, aye. And the first one, Miss Burns, it might have happened or two. I'm not sure.
Yes, must have been terrible good living people up
How they were anything but it. But what I was going to say then, who then come after Miss Devlin? Only I can't remember. The next teacher, but Master McDermott was still the principal.
He was a principal. He'd have taught in the big room as I talked about.
He was in the big room, surely. There was only the two rooms altogether.
Right.
Apart from like cloakrooms and stuff like that.
And who was the parish priest in Galway at that time?
And that was in the Tullyallen parish.
Oh, that's Tullyallen parish.
Oh, that's Tullyallen parish.
Why were you going to Tullyallen?
Well, the Clonmel school was near than Cross Calvin School.
Right.
And apparently all the
It was handy for you to get
It
to
was
it.
handiest to get. Well, I had to walk, you see.
Right,
It seemed to be the nearest now, or we're told it was the nearest. And across Cavanagh School, there mightn't have been a very big lot of difference in it, but the youngsters around all went to
Clonmel.
so we went along with it. We went along with the rest.
And that, well, you sort of still went to Galway Chapel, like?
Oh, we still, we used to go to Achnagyar
Yard Chapel.
Achnagyar Chapel, you see, was near our house in Galway Chapel.
Is that right?
Well, when I was living at home, like it was, Galway would be near to where I live now. But well, sort of, maybe one Sunday we'll go to Achnagyar, we might go the next Sunday to Galway, according to the mood.
Well, at that time in the school, in the winter time, when there'd been a turf fire in it?
There was.
There wasn't a levy in every family to bring their own turf or anything, was there?
I think there was, maybe. They would have liked you if you had to took a turf or two, but we had a bit of travel, we didn't bother much.
You didn't bother with the turf?
No, well, I don't mind carrying turf now much, but I know it has been done and was done before.
In some places
it was.
Well, how many mile would you have to walk to school?
I'd say we roughly would have 2.5 miles, maybe.
Not too bad in them days.
No,
people would have walked farther.
You know, it could have been 3 miles.
3 miles? Well, there's a fair wee.
Well, and I went this morning and it raining or snowing now. There was some real wet mornings we did not go now. You would have wouldn't let you out at that. Because the road we had to go was that Achnagyar road, and the road on this side of it was there wasn't a hedge, you know, there's no shelter on it.
No, they come with squall at all.
You were going about the ringing wet.
And
then you had to go in and sit in school all day.
Well, Master McDermott, he played the fiddle in school, or
he did.
Did he?
On odd occasion he'd take her over. And we were delighted to see him come, therefore we knowed when he come with a fiddle, and this is going to be an easy fight. He said, this fiddle will not be. He did surely would take her over, and he was a great man for singing and all, for keeping the class. The big girls, as they called them that time, that'd be girls around about 13 and 14 was school leaving age that time. He would have them sing, he'd form them into a choir, and he could do it.
Is that right?
Then he used to take the fiddle over and he'd accompany them, do you see?
Right.
Or if he wanted to learn the air of a song, he couldn't sing himself,
But he
couldn't get up to the height.
Yeah, he could play, but the music was there.
The music was there. He would take the fiddle along, do you see, and he picked out the ones he knew could sing in the school.
Yeah.
And if they didn't maybe know the air of the song, he was a great man for mirrors and melodies.
Is that right?
Oh, I sure, the meeting of the Waters and all them sorts of. And
well,
believe me, if all those endearing young children, that was the songs that he kept the girls singing, and the boys too.
Give them a great interest in anything Irish.
Give them a great, I did surely. He was very Irish himself.
Where was Master McDermott from? Was he a native of that part?
No. Master McDermott was from Loch McCrory, up beside
Carrickmore, part of Carrickmore parish.
Part of Carrickmore parish.
Right.
And as far as I know, he's married in Carrickmore.
Is that right? Would you have any idea how long he's dead, or?
Oh, he's a good number of years dead. I wouldn't, I couldn't just put a name.
40 years maybe, would I?
He would probably be round about that. Or if he's not, it must be
It
near.
must be.
Aye, somewhere in
And
there.
who was the wife, did you say?
She was a Kate Devil.
Where was she from?
She come from the town land of Alton Lushan.
Is that it?
Side and next another side after again.
Right.
Aye, I know her, you know, but only at that time you wouldn't inquire about her.
No, it wasn't the dome.
Aye, no. When you're young, like
The headmaster and the parish priest at that time was sort of the two main men in the area,
they
weren't they?
definitely were.
They were.
Right. You asked me who the parish priest was that time. Well, that's Tully Ellen Parish now. There was an old parish priest in it, I think at that time, Father Care. Where he was a native of, I don't mind, but I mind him now, and he was an old man at the time.
Would have been in the school with you, so.
He would come in at odd times to the school, a very nice, a fairly aged man at the time.
Well, where would you have made your first communion then?
Oh, Galbley.
Galbley, you'd have done it in your own parish.
All in Clonmel, but you had to do it that time in your own parish. Oh, aye, down in Galbley.
Galbley.
Yes.
And the confirmation was in Galbley.
Confirmation, that's right.
Who was the bishop that confirmed you, or cardinal as a
Cardinal McCrory.
McCrory, is that right?
That's right, he's a native of
Aye, that's right. I know where his grave is.
Do you so?
And I filmed his house a couple of years ago, the house where he was reared.
That was nice.
And there's not a stone of it left. It was knocked down there about a year and a half ago. There's not a stone of it left.
Did they not put no mark at it?
No, there's no marker on it at all. The only marker is the bit of film I have of the fella that owns it now is a man called McKeown. You get into there when when you leave Glencoe School and head up the Crawler Lane. Let me just see, am I right now? Aye, there's a road up there about halfway up into your right before you come to McChrystal's the Spout. You turn in there to the right, that's where Cardinal McCrory was born and reared.
So?
What sort of man was he? Do you mind much about him?
He was on rightly on in
years at that stage.
Maybe he wasn't, you know, but to youngsters.
To you, I seem.
He looked to be a very nice, pleasant sort of a man. He was white haired, I think, at the time, as far as I can remember.
Smallish man.
Well, he seemed to be fairly strongly built, you know.
Did I?
But not too tall.
Right.
But apart from, you see, I never seen him only the morning of confirmation.
That's the only time you'd ever seen him.
Except maybe photographs of him or something.
He's buried in Errigal graveyard. There's a marble slab on the grave. I would say, am I right now? No, I'm wrong. It's actually the mother's graves in. It could be the mother and father's graves in Errigal. He's possibly buried maybe in. He's probably buried at the cathedral in Armagh.
That's what I was going to say, because
it's a fan mother's grave is in Errigal. That's right. I'm wrong. There's a marble slab on it on his flat, like a big slab over the grave. And when I was up around at the graveyard now, it was all covered in green moss and slime. You could have hardly read it. It's not neglected.
Aye, it is a pity, you know.
It is a pity.
But I'd say Cardinal McCrory now would be, as you say, down in the cathedral.
Well, the next man after him would have been Cardinal Logue, wouldn't it?
Was Cardinal Logue the next, or was he? Was Cardinal Logue not a four?
Might have been before. He was
before.
You're right. He's before.
I think he was a four. Well, who the next Cardinal would have been after Cardinal McCrory?
Yeah.
I can't even remember.
I couldn't tell you.
I should be fit him in.
I don't know myself.
No. So you need a fit.
But anyway, going back to McDermott then. Did you play the fiddle while you were at school?
Oh no, I didn't play nothing at all. I couldn't take a note of anything when I was at school. I had no interest in it, but I used to like to hear him taking the fiddle over and he'd play airs. Great air player too, you know. Right. But he was mostly a real jig and horn type man.
Right.
But if he did play an air, it was great. I could still. No, after I quit school then, you see, you quit at 14. But I was about 15, maybe 16. Round Corley Lane that I was talking about now. It was a great lane of musicians.
Yes.
But I'll tell you about that later. I took a great conceit in the accordion. My father, you see, could play the button accordion. I wasn't now.
Joe Bork had nothing to fear.
No. He played this wee single kid with a melodeon. Right. And then a few she was lying about it. I took a bit of an interest in this. Then this wee melodeon, you see, them last youngsters of the shore. broke her. But we got a wee new one anyway, a small wheel. So we single row. I started to pull and haul with this. Could come on to it fairly quick, you know, they were very easy played, a wee single row, you know, as you would know yourself. And my brothers, they could play on or two, but eventually then we got a bigger one, a 2-row. So I took a notion I'd go up to Master McDermott to see if he'd give me a wee bit of, I had a great interest in her. I went up to Master McDermott. He was a sort of a man now, there's nothing delighted him as much as somebody like you or me gone in for him to, he delighted in giving you a lesson or two.
Right.
And it pleased him to pieces. And he took great pain with you too. If he seen the music was there, you were his man, he would go to any trouble.
And there was no charge or
oh, no, at all. Sure, you have to set up tonight.
a labourer loved you.
The labourer loves, that's the correct way to put it. So I started off with this accordion, and then I had to learn to, well, he would learn you to read the music, you see. And it wasn't so simple for the accordion that he,
No,
he wrote his own notes out. But that was all right, I stayed round with McDermott really for as long as he was in there, the yard I'd got him down to it. Didn't take me so long, you know, going up. More I had to walk, but I was well used to walking that road to school. I stayed with him 4 or 5 years, I know. Stayed with him in fact till he moved. When he retired, he moved, he left there.
Where did he go to then?
He went to Carrickmore till his
home place?
Yes.
Right.
I don't think it was his home place, but he bought a house in Carrickmore village.
Right,
and he,
back to the parish,
back to the parish, that's right, and that's where Master McDermott ended his days up there. But right, I was going to tell you about Corley Lane that time, I suppose, a little bit, where I was born under. Every house on Corley Lane, there was a musical instrument, and there was somebody played. None of them brilliant or anything like that, you know. Now there was a fella beside me in Corley Lane. It'd be about 300 or 400 yards from my home place. There was a house, Cairns, Tommy Cairns. Tommy lived his own, and this young fellow, he was an uncle of Willie Watt, lived along with him. Tommy was an uncle of Willie's, and Willie was about my age, you see. And Willie went and learned to play the fiddle up with Paddy O'Brien's, and it was mentioned O'Brien's there earlier.
That's right.
He was a great music man and a great man to read music. Willie Watt learned the fiddle with Paddy O'Brien. Well, Willie was a bit older than me, not much. Still going good yet. On his way in England this years. Willie played the fiddle. Our house there was me and my father and Pat, my brothers. They could play. You went on up the lane about a couple of 100 yards more. There was a man, James Donaghy, and he could play the fiddle, but he had a fiddle. And then on the top of Cork, 3 houses sitting together, one after the other. James Donaghy's that I mentioned, and Bradley's, and McVeigh's. James Donaghy played the fiddle, Fardy Bradley played the fiddle, that was the next day. On down the lane a bit, Hugh McVeigh played the fiddle. And over where my uncle lived, he was living in well that time too. There was a wee accordion there.
Right.
And it was just from one end of the lane, and that's only the lane now, I mean. Then on the houses on the outskirts of it, there was fiddles and wee melodeons nearly in every house, and somebody in the house could play a wee bit. So you nearly couldn't have missed but took up music at that time. Now there's not even one of them.
Well, would you went to say one particular house, say Donaghy's one night, and maybe to some other house the next night, or did you just all congregate in one house?
No, they did. They would have, even now in them years, they had sessions, especially in McVeigh's. Now McVeigh's was the house for the
they all get into
Hughie
McVeigh.
McVeigh was a young fella at the time too, and if Hughie met you on the lane or anybody that played music, oh, come on down to have a tune on the fiddles, and that would go on, you see. And I would have the accordion, and I would take down the accordion, and there were the wee dances, you see, in them years. You tell me, had the house dances,
House party.
or house parties, and they were very common. Well, you see, that was a great opportunity for the night's music.
Right.
They had There'll be always a couple of fellas playing.
Would they be able to happen any time of the year? Was it mostly in the harvest time?
No, there was no set time. Like
no set time.
It was just more or less if somebody come home from America or
any
England
excuse, just
any excuse. And sometimes they didn't need an excuse; they just give a party anyway.
Right.
And you know, the parties I always said the best parties was the parties that never was planned.
Planned at all.
Maybe you would come in your Haley and I would come in and maybe 3 or 4 girls would come in and the fiddle would be there and somebody would play. That would all start just for a bit of crack. And then you see maybe more of the neighbours would come in and that was sort of the country that time. You know. And a night like that would turn out into a real good night. And no planning or nothing. The night that would be planned would be too, you know.
What time are we talking about? The 20s, say?
Oh, well, no, it would be
30s.
Master McDermott was teaching up and he was teaching up around, it must have been in the late 30s. Or
late 30s,
aye, somewhere around about that. He was going good like at that time. And anybody, I think now that'd have been near enough it anyway, but he wouldn't have been a very old man, McDermott, then, because he teached a long time in Clonmel after that time I'm talking about.
After you went to school, like?
I think he did now. He might have teached another 10 years or so after that, couldn't just. Aye, so. Well, then when he went away to Carrickmore, he bought a house up there that was too far away. I was up in it right now.
Would there be no musicians would have went up to him up there? They probably would.
Oh, they would, surely. Oh, it was a calling house too, you know. Aye, but he was a strange man, you know. If you wouldn't, you'd go in there and maybe he'd show you something. No, he wouldn't like cross or anything like that.
Right.
He would like you to do it there. If I say, you used to give me a tune in the week, you know, and that's when I got that I could read music.
Right.
And I still wasn't very good at it, but he would say, now, give me, he'd always write you a easy tune, you know, he knowed what to give you like a Now come back this night week, he says, and do your best, lad. He talked to him, do your best, lad. We'll see what come up this night week and we'll give her another one over. He would keep you that tune there and you wouldn't get away from it.
You mastered it.
Mastered.
Right.
And he says that'll do now. Then he'd write you another and that was the way he brought you along and it was a great way, you know. He didn't throw you a whole heap of tunes and you're rumbling through them and play none of them.
Learn none of them.
Learn none of them.
Right.
Now, I used to enjoy going up to this big man, Paddy Nugent, was telling me about, was a lovely player. And him and the master McDermott was, there was like 2 brothers, they were that great. They were around about maybe the same age of men, you know. And I would go up an odd night, Paddy Nugent was being the masters. Well, the master, you see, he would, if he was giving me a bit of a lesson, he finished up with me first. And then him and Paddy would take the 2 fiddles and would tune them up. And there'd be some great nice play. The only pity about it, there was
no tape recorders.
There was no tape recorders, I don't think at the time.
Or no videos.
Or cameras or nothing else. And it was an awful waste too. Like many's a time I think they had them recorded. If somebody like you had a walk in, it would have been great to have them now.
It would have been
because there's very few musicians yet, and you might get there's some good ones about the country. There's very few I have ever heard of.
Well, what sort of a style would McDermott had?
Well,
who would you compare him to, say, at the present
I
time?
could compare him till there was a boy asked me that before. Did you ever hear tapes of Paddy Kilhorn?
I did.
Well, that was McDermott's style.
Is that McDermott's style?
He played fast. He played quick. He played very fast. But not now. If there was somebody going out to dance, he could play to suit the dancer. But on his own there, if he was come in there and was playing a lucky tune, he seemed to speed. Paddy Kilhorn played right and fast.
He did.
But then to read music or anything like that, he was class. He had a book of O'Neill's music, and he used to have it out down there at night. He would have it at a big table in the living room. Just get this book on it. He could just play the tune out of that book the same as
you reading the paper.
Same as you reading the papers, right? And every I had be there once a week. He would always have a different selection. To me, he seemed to always have a different selection every week on him. You know, he had plenty of time in the evenings, I suppose, when he quit school. You know, it was a pastime.
No.
Oh, he was a great player and could have been. He wouldn't broadcast, but
Never knows a recording.
I'll tell you who him was very great. Well, maybe you heard tell him. I don't know. Frank O'Higgins in Dublin.
I heard of him.
Oh, I heard him playing too. Frank O'Higgins was a lovely player. And Master McDermott, you see, in the summertime he got holidays. He usually went up around Dublin on his holidays. But he always finished with O'Higgins.
Right.
Him and O'Higgins was very, very great. And O'Higgins and him, I think the most of the holidays they spent fiddling.
Right.
But O'Higgins broadcast very often. I heard him different times.
I wonder he never managed to get the master recording made of him.
No.
Maybe he didn't just want to do it.
Oh, he wasn't that type. The master was just quite happy playing in his own corner and that. Oh, he'd play in a hall there. I played with him in a yard hall in later years, like.
Yes.
Oh, and he wasn't like a backward man. It wasn't as some of them there was a backward. Master Emma could come out on the stage and mind him playing Lord Gordon's Reel. And after the yard one night at a big Cayley. He done a solo. I mind him playing Lord Gordon's Reel. Off Coleman's record, you see, he took it too that time.
Yes.
And it was just done exactly the same as Coleman done it. I could see no difference in the two, you know.
Well, then going on a wee bit later, John, you remember the Cathal Brew Cayley band?
Oh, aye, the Cathal Brew band.
Tell me the origins of it.
I think now, well, I wasn't in it when it started first.
Who was the man that started it?
The man that started was a fella from up, he's living in Well yet, James Loughren, up from Camach out on this side of, between Cappy and Pomeroy.
Right.
I think it's Camach he lives in. And there was three brothers, the Loughrens. And they were good music men. And still plays well yet. And James Loughren was the man that was that formed the Cathal Brew Cayley band. And how he come by the name, I couldn't say, but they had to put some name on it. And they used to get Cayleys down in Yelbury Hall. Yelbury had a new hall at the time. I don't know what year now this would be. 40s would it? Maybe somewhere around about that time.
Around that time, yeah.
And Cayley bands wasn't so plentiful at the time.
Not as plentiful as now.
Oh no. But they decided to form this Cayley band. Yelbury had a new hall and there was nothing but Cayley dancing, you see. And somebody approached James. So James started the band. Himself and his brother Paddy and I think his brother John, that was three of their own, you see. And then they got somebody else. We weren't in it at this time now.
Right.
And anybody that could play at all could come in and play, do you see, but then that didn't seem to work out either. You'd need to. So damn, they decided that we joined in. There was three of the Loughrens and three of us. 3 Loughrens and 3 McKeown. There was James Loughren, John Loughren and Paddy Loughren. And there was James McKeown and John McKeown and Paddy McKeown. Was a coincidence.
Right.
That was the 6 of us. And then
what did the Loughrens play now?
Paddy Loughren played the accordion and John played the accordion. And James, the man that formed the band, he was a fiddler, he played the fiddle. But usually John, you see, was a different man, John Loughren. John wasn't too reliable.
Yeah.
Couldn't depend on John. John, you meet a John in the band one night and you mightn't see him for a month. He was very young at the time.
Right.
But Paddy was always there. It was usually Paddy and James playing and us 3. Well then we needed a drummer. We got Charlie, it wasn't now Charlie Nugent back in the Yorker, he was younger than that. I don't mind who's this started to drum then with a Cathal break. The first drummer I'm talking about. I think it was a man the name of Gilroy, George Gilroy. He's dead now. He lived at Yelbury. I think George was the drummer when I went into it.
Right.
And that band took off from that. And that band we must have played for 25, 30 years maybe together. And then the Cayleys, you see, it was a real Cayley time, a great time for a band that. There was Cayleys all over the place.
And what was it mode of transport? How did you start?
Oh, we had We always had a car with us, you see. There was always a member of the band. The Nugents, George July, as I said, drummed a while. But then George dropped out, or else left the district or something. And one of the Nugents of Achna Yar come in there. Now you know Jerry Nugent. He lives up the Ballygally Lane there. He's married to she's Madden.
I heard him, but I don't know him.
No, you wouldn't know him. You know, well, you were saying you're over now in Kiwis one.
Kiwis, yeah.
Well, this is one of his sons.
Right.
He started to drum in the band.
Right.
And between Jerry Nugent and Shirley in later years, Wallis and some of them, they done the drumming and they also done the taxiing.
Right.
They drove the band. You know, for the most of the time.
Well, you worked with RT in your time with us?
We were indeed. We made a broadcast a way back. I don't know, I couldn't even tell you a bad memory for dates.
I wonder would there be any trace of that yet? Would that record never have been?
It might be in Belfast. It was in the BBC it was from.
Oh, it was the BBC,
it
usually?
was, and it was broadcast from, did you ever know where Altmore Hotel was?
I did,
Aye, well that's where that broadcast was made.
Was the hotel
you see, it was outside. That hotel, you see, the people, it wasn't a hotel that time. That was a big estate, you see, that hotel. The Shields of Altmore.
Right.
And there was still, Mona Shields was still living there. I think she must have been the last of the Shields. They were big people.
They were the landowners,
They
right?
were, right.
They'd have been left in the ground rent around
Oh,
here.
they were sure, there's goodness in the whole estate right there. But
were they Catholic?
They were, surely. I think Mona, I didn't know Mona. The rest of them all had passed away, you see.
Right.
Our father and mother.
And did Mona marry?
Mona didn't marry. No, I don't know what become. She left the district. But she was a great person, Mona, and a great musician. You want to hear her bumping on the piano.
Piano, is that right?
There was a great teacher in Cappy that time, where Altmore, Miss McComas, they called her. She was a native of County Down. And she always had something going on in the district, you know.
Right.
Learning children plays, and not children, everybody. She put on some of the best plays, you know, if you've seen. And she was got this broadcast arranged too. And she got through to the BBC, and they came up and we had a go for an audition. So it was all done in Shields. Miss Mona Shields, she got not only Miss Mona, and Miss McComas was all one, you know, they were very great. So among them they arranged that they would have it done in a big room. There was rooms in it, you know, rates and here.
Half the size of a hall.
Aye. And one of these big rooms we had a cup of we had a cup 3 or 4 nights, and we had to do a bit of training for it, you see. That was the Cattle Brew band too. And of course Paddy Nugent was in it along with us that night, and next to man, and Peter Boyle. There was a fella at Cappy,
Peter on the accordion?
No, that's a different man. Peter was a fiddle player.
Right.
Now you wouldn't have known him, but a great character too, Peter Boyle.
Right.
We brought him in, you see, that all helped in the broadcast. It didn't matter, you could have a dozen of us. But that broadcast was done from Shield, the place where the hotel was. And that was the first broadcast. And that goes back a long way.
And would business improved after that then?
No,
Made more popular?
Business didn't really matter that time.
You were getting as much
you were
to
getting
do.
as much as you could do. The Kelly bands wasn't as plenty. There was still a nod, well, there was the comics at the time going good.
Right.
And those were McCusker brothers.
Yes, from Armagh.
From Armagh. Those Dungannon had a great Kelly band, the Cree Brew.
Right.
It was a good Kelly band, and there was different rounds, you see, but there was that many Kellys around the country.
They were all needed.
They were all needed.
Yeah.
There was hip Kellys. I seen us at Christmas now would have been a very busy time. I've seen us having 4 Kellys in the 1 week. That was the Christmas week.
What were you getting a night that time?
Oh, you'd get maybe £1.
Pound was big money.
It was counted big money. Oh no, there was no money like for really. Money didn't some way seem to bother. It was the fun but out and the enjoyment of it. People, you see, didn't take it too serious. That you couldn't have a good night's cracking. But then when you played, when a band plays together a long time, the get it comes
naturally.
You know, you're playing that same thing over and over. You have to keep learning about new cues, something like that. You know. But they've been together, if 6 or 7 fellas plays together for maybe 20 years. It's no trouble to them going out to play it.
No, they knew every move.
Knew every move and everybody.
But you were talking about your man Nugent, the son of Hughie's been a drummer.
Yes, aye.
There'd have been a history of drumming in that family. I think Hughie told me about one time he played the big drum in a
Achnagar pipe band.
An Achnagar pipe band.
I mean the pipe band.
And there was some dispute over the drum that maybe was settled in Oma Courthouse, was there?
There was something about a drum, that's right.
There was a drum damaged, or there was. Just don't mind the story of it.
I don't mind it all, but I think they lent the big drum to. There was some other band.
And the Hibernian band, maybe.
It might have been. I'm not sure.
There was some we needled over the drum, and
there was. Hughie, I hear him talking about that, but I didn't inquire into it enough, you know. I just don't remember it now.
I don't remember. He actually told me. I probably have a film of it at home telling me about it.
Aye.
It's that long from I done that I just forget now.
Oh, you'll forget, sure. You need to give her a wee rehearsal again, run over.
So that was a couple of generations of drummers.
A couple of generations of drummers. Oh, I mind old Hughie drumming in Achnagar.
Do you?
Seen him drumming in it.
Is that right?
Sure, when we were young. Oh,
were they a good pipe band?
They were a good pipe band, but it was Master McDermott, the man we're talking about.
That started it.
Trained them.
Is that right?
He
must have been a very versatile musician. He must
surely.
have any instrument would have been opera.
Teach you any instrument.
Right.
No, that doesn't. You know you can teach an instrument even you can't play it.
Oh, aye.
Well, he could. Anyway, I suppose that other people couldn't. No, he had youngsters there. Even at the school, he could teach them to sing, and as I said, he couldn't sing himself, but he could still teach them. And the minute he listened to them, if he knew, he would know whether they were going to be good or
whether
not.
flat or sharp.
Pipe band was the same. He trained Achnagar pipe band, surely. Especially on the pipes. Like, I don't know whether he'd been an expert.
They were an independent pipe band, were they?
They might have been, I'm not sure.
I don't really mean that.
Sometime you're talking to some of the Nugent fellas now, they could give you the whole history of that pipe band. And to be a good history to have too, you know. They like a Charlie now. Charlie's a very intelligent fellow.
Is that the boy that's at home?
That's his son. He's at home over there.
I've met him.
Aye, well, he could maybe give you the history of it. But there's a fella in Ballygolly there. There's another son beside you.
That's right. I know him too.
You should surely. Hughie's in Ballygolly. He's married to. He could give you the history of the pipe now. Too.
Well, is there any
he could give it to you better than I would, for he would know all the details.
Is there many photographs about the Cechel Brew Kelly band?
Oh, there's bound to be.
You have none yourself?
I might have. I was trying to study there. Cechel Brew. Well, I don't know. You know, there's photos, and there was a lot of photos took here and there. I'm sure up in the Locherns has. The Locherns would have them too. They might go on in our house.
Well, would you just want dress whatever way you liked, or would you?
We used to have a white shorts and these dicky clothes.
All right.
We got a sort of fed up with that, and we got then at the finish with this.
Couldn't be bad.
Just out of your order. No, there were two fat, lashy looking, and you didn't feel comfortable.
Comfortable, especially playing the fiddle.
Especially playing the fiddle.
The bow tie would have been in your robe.
In your robe, you know. Just choke. Except there was something very special on or something like that, and that wouldn't be often. We're quite that way. Just went out. You felt more comfort in your own clothes, you know. Oh, aye, surely in your.
Well, when the Fleadhs come along in the 50s, were you still? Was the Kelly band still going that stage?
Oh, it was surely. Oh, aye.
Well, did you enter in any of the?
No, we never went.
Never entered the competition.
We used to have to play at them, but playing for the dancers.
Right.
And it was no easy job. You see, the Fleadh that time, the face that time as they called it. Yen and face should be every May there.
In St Patrick's Hall.
Down in St Patrick's Hall, and then another place down at the Academy.
In the old Academy?
The old Academy, the first faces at Yen, you see, was all down at the Academy.
Is that right?
Oh, it was, surely. Oh, aye. All the competitions was down there. And the whole event was nearly all on Sunday.
Right.
Sunday was a great day at it. And all the fiddle competitions and accordion competitions and all was on a Sunday. It was a nice Sunday, like it was all outside in the field.
Right.
And the place would be packed. And there was Kelly bands from all over the place. Now we didn't enter for them, for we usually got a wee bit of a job, maybe playing.
For
dancers,
dancers.
for young dancers.
Right.
And when you go in there, now, there was an awful lot of dancers that time too. You know.
And playing hornpipe after hornpipe
That's right,
and
maybe
jigs and.
Aye, the one
It would
thing
have been
maybe
a hard. It would have been a hard day's work.
Oh, it was very bored. It wasn't really that hard, but it was monotonous. You know, you would play, maybe they'd come out and dance a 300, these youngsters. And they'd play, then the next group would come along and do 300 again, and the same thing went on and on and on. And usually they all wanted the same tunes. If you could even
would they have a choice of tunes? Would they ask you for a particular
some
tune?
of them would. Some
they?
of them would. But then the adjudicators were very sharp that way. The adjudicators would tell them it doesn't matter what tune stage you should be fit to dance to it.
Anyway, yeah.
Aye, they didn't like to see the youngsters coming over to somebody in the band and say when you play
Such a thing.
such a tune. Aye, they would look down at them behind them. I don't know who the adjudicators would have been that time. But you'd hear this all going on, and you should be fit to play whatever tune, doesn't matter what the band plays, or the musicians. You're a dancer, you should be fit to, that's as long as you're in the time, you know. No, it was very boring. You had to sit there and play maybe the one tune. But we got it to finish up then, we changed, there was a jig, any jig, you know. But you still had an idea what would suit the youngsters, you know.
But you had to play at a good time, like.
Oh, you had to,
well,
that was important then.
None of this racing at that time.
Oh, good Lord, not at all. Oh, you couldn't do it. Oh no, oh, there was no racing. Comics was great men to play at the face there too.
Is that right?
Oh, they were surely. They were good. Like Johnny Comic and Jimmy Comic. They had a good Keely band at the time too. They called their band the Fleadh O'Neill Keely band.
Is that right?
I think I have a photo of it. My brother then, James, used to play an odd time them to
with them
out if they were stuck, you see.
Right.
And the Cleve Rue in Dungan was another good.
Who was in it? You mentioned it earlier.
Well, there was I didn't know the members, but I know two, and there was one, and there was a big red-faced man, Frank Donnelly they called him, and he played the fiddle in it. He was an awful tournament man, a big stout man, a big young man. No, I think he's dead now. He emigrated. He went away down into County Armagh to finish. He was a bus driver in Dungannon there for years.
Right.
He seemed to be the leader of the Cleve Rue Keely band. And the only other person I know in it was a girl. What the heck is that girl name? Read her name now. She's a nurse in Dungannon Hospital there, as far as I know yet. Fairly well on in years now, you know. But
Yeah.
when I was in her house and I might mind it after a while. She played a piano accordion, and then there was 4 or 5 more, but I don't.
You didn't know them,
No, I didn't know.
And the far away would you have played at that time? What was the farthest?
Well, the farthest we played the hardest journey we got on, I'd say it was the hardest, was away in Glencolmkill.
In Donegal.
Back in Donegal, or wherever it is. And it was the face we went to that day. We were employed to play at the face. There was a Keely in the hall that night.
That night, yeah.
Yes. So it was going to be a big job getting there. None of us knew the road to Glencolmkill.
Right.
It was Louis Place in Glencolmkill Castle, we were going to a village.
Right.
And but anyhow, the Sunday arrived anyway. It was a lovely warm day. We went to early mass in Pomeroy. That'd be 9:30 mass in Pomeroy. And with all our fittings in the car with us. We had a big car for that day. And the adjudicator going to the face was a chap from Cookstown. I think it was the name of White.
Right.
And he was travelling with us too. And lucky enough, he knew the road very well. So we headed off and we landed in Columkill. I think it was maybe 3 o'clock in the evening when we got landed. We were supposed to be there at 2:30 or something, but we were a bit late, but that didn't matter. And where they were holding their dancing competitions was down on the beach. We were playing down on the sand. Oh, it was the nicest day. Only to the road. And then we discovered then there was 3 or 4 platforms Irish dancer. That left us, the van had to divide up. Me and Paddy Lawrence played he played the accordion, and
That'd have been an awkward enough thing.
I tell you it was. And my brother James Loughlin went to another platform.
Then you hadn't a drummer to start yourself.
The drummer was no good to us at all. No, well we're twos anyway, it didn't matter, you see. Well, do you know that was about 3 o'clock we started playing, and we never got slack until 8 o'clock that evening. That was 5 hours we played, and the sun
beaming down on you.
It wouldn't help. Imagine what it's
it wouldn't help the old fiddle, that sure.
It didn't help her now, but sure, what would do? And the sweat would be coming down, and you couldn't. I never.
You couldn't lift your arm down, knock a sweaty arm, right?
I never was as glad to see the last of them dancers, and they were good dancers and all. But they're the people like around here, very nice people, and very friendly, and the most of them was talking nice, and I didn't know what they were talking about.
I tell you a thing we just didn't say at the start, and I suppose it would be worth noting. We're here in the digs we're in Fairfields in Clonmel. We're down here for the 1993 All-Ireland Fleadh, and this is Sunday morning. Some of the rest of them was away at Moss, but John and me was at Moss yesterday evening. Just in case anybody up round home thinks we've turned to be free Presbyterians. We're up here in the room just in the digs. But anyway, sorry for the story. What, you played then the Keely that night?
Oh yeah, at 8 o'clock I was saying we got read up and got the cases packed in. As I said, it's only a wee village, Cashel, they called the place.
Right.
Never was in it since.
I never was in it.
No, well you know what about to go, I wouldn't even know the road. The beautifulest place ever you seen. And we come up in and other who are well enough treated like up, and we got a good feed on the land and tea and everything you could. We took down into the hall, that's where the cooking was all done. There was all those people getting refreshed. We got a good, I don't mind what's it, we got our dinner and all the rest of it. And then with the CCR band, I was only one I think took a drink. And my brother James, Packy could take a drink but wouldn't bother much about it. And the Loughlin family, Paddy Loughlin and James Loughlin, they were pioneers. They never drink, never drunk in their life. But we got that big of burning up with heat and sweat and all. We went up to, me and James we got up to this wee pub, and it was a quaint street pub. A wee pub, I don't know much bigger than this room here, like I will be a wee bit. And it's thatched.
Right.
I didn't know it was a pub at all. We wanted to get a pint of beer just to put the truth of ourselves.
Probably was bottles of beer that day.
It was, I think, right enough. I wouldn't know be right sure, but probably it was. We went into this place and we opened the door to it, and it was packed full. You'd really be feared to open the door, nearly all of fell out. It was that way, you see. Yeah. And the most of them was all old fishermen. Len Collins Gillies, he must have been a great fish in the area. And the conversation, most of it was in Irish, but there was others talking English too. Good Irish places up in Len Collins. And there was all of us fishing they were talking. And talking among they're all neighbours, you see. There was a wee man in the middle of it, got him, and you would think maybe I'm exaggerating. There was a wee man, a wee small man, a wee aged man. And this crowd of some big hefty fellas, strong. They were all quaffing these pints. And this wee man was in somewhere in the middle, and I'd never seen him. And I don't know what, maybe he didn't feel so good or something. He must have felt a bit sick or something. When they moved out for him, he just fell like that, slap on the middle of the
Drunk?
Drunk, surely to goodness.
Yes.
I never seen it happen in my life before. When they moved out from them, they didn't do it at purpose.
They were pink brave.
And again, somebody said they moved down he went in the
They were packed brave and tight.
I tell you, they were packed like hard.
Sardine.
So then they opened the door and the wee man got out there. He was all right. I suppose maybe the heat and all, maybe he was trying to get out and couldn't with a throng, But there was nothing serious. Well then, we had a couple of pints in the pub and got settled down. We couldn't take too many, for we were still at the Keely. We come down then and knocked about. We had maybe a couple. The Keely was starting, you see, at 10 o'clock. Well, that wasn't, we had only a couple of hours, you see. At the time we got some refreshments and a drink. There was an hour of it away. Left us maybe just an hour to get ready again. So the Keely started, and then with the fish and all that day, the hall was packed to the roof. And the All Ireland champion dancer was at it. Oh God, it's just lovely there. What did they call her anyway? McCormick.
Right.
A wee girl, the name of McCormick, a girl maybe of about 15 years age or somewhere, and maybe not that. And she gave 2 or 3 exhibition dances. And it's only lately I discovered that same girl that danced in Clonmel that night is married to one of the boys that plays in the Chieftains.
Is that right?
What do you call the wee man?
Bell?
It's not John no, Bell. He plays the
harp
fiddle.
Oh, plays the fiddle.
Plays the fiddle. It's not Sean Kane, like the other fiddle player.
I know who you mean. I don't know his name.
I know his name, but I can't remember. That fella I was told after is married to that girl.
Is that right? That's a coincidence, isn't it?
Is that not a coincidence? See, I know she was from Dublin, you see.
Yeah.
Well, that's who that fella's married to. And she was All Ireland step dancer at that time. And she was, now I seen a lot of dancers in the time. I never seen nothing to touch her. Well, she wasn't All Ireland champion for nothing.
For nothing, eh?
No. No, I just can't remember that fella's name. Mickey Boyle would know it too. He was married to that girl. And we just happened to be talking one night, me and somebody that knew her. And within was telling me that lassie was married to. She'll be her age now, you see, too. But she was good. Well then, that was do you know that it was near 5 o'clock in the morning when that Keely went over? There was no quitting time in it.
Just till they got tired.
Just till they got tired, or till they got to the
You must have been the choir tired.
Were we? I think we were.
Did you stay then the rest of the morning?
We didn't stay at all, you see, what we should have been doing, or we could have done it, but we headed out, we got this all packed into the car then after all was over, and headed for home, and I can tell you it's a long drive. It was something over 100, no, it wasn't over 100 miles. It was 95 miles or something.
Well, would you not have had to make a request at the border that time, or did you just jump the border?
There's no day, we had no trouble at the border at all. No. You're going where you're part of the country and be off in the fly. You wouldn't have got through as handy.
No. Maybe that border wasn't as tight.
That border, I don't mind nothing about. The border going over the same. But up there, they never were too severe on if they seen musical instruments. You'd rarely ever have to open a case there.
You had the big drum tied on the boot.
Oh, aye, it was there somewhere. Where had it? It was a big car we had. It was Charlie Nugent.
Was that on the boot or the roof?
I think it was the big Austin 6.
Mickey Boyle.